Hey guys, today I'm doing the fanfiction tag. To start things off, I know a lot of people don't like fanfictions, so if you're gonna leave comments, please try not to be rude or hurtful. Now that that's out of the way, let's get on with the tag. This tag was created by Jen Campbell, and I'll leave a link to her video in the description box below. Question 1. Do you read or write fanfiction, and why? I used to write fanfiction when I was in high school. I just really haven't had the time since work and college and actual books take up the majority of my time now. So I don't write as often as I used to. As for reading fanfiction, I read fanfiction whenever I'm obsessed with something, like a book series or TV series, like The Maze Runner or Teen Wolf, stuff like that. But I have to be really particularly obsessed with the TV show or book before I read fanfiction for it. Question 2. How and when did you discover fanfiction? How old were you? I don't really know how old I was. I think I was 13. And one of my best friends at the time introduced me to fanfiction because I was like obsessing over Harry Potter and how I was so sad that there wasn't more to it. And she's like, well, why don't you just read fanfiction? And I asked her what the heck that was, and we just went to the library and she showed me, and I was like, oh wow. And I started reading it. Question 3, how has fandom and fiction evolved since you found it? I think for fandom, it made me realize that fandoms are a lot bigger and a little bit more twisted than I originally thought. So it's opened my eyes to a lot of other fandoms that I never really knew existed until I got on fanfiction. As for fiction, that has come a long way since I have discovered fanfiction, because when I discovered it, YA wasn't really a thing. Twilight hadn't even been released by then. At least I don't think it had. I didn't read Twilight until Breaking Dawn was in stores, so I'm not exactly sure if Twilight was a thing when I discovered fanfiction or not, but the YA community definitely wasn't. There wasn't a lot of YA books out back then. So in that aspect, fiction has definitely evolved. Question 4, do you still engage with it in the way you used to? The answer to that is no. I used to read fan fiction like a couple hours before I go to bed every night when I was in high school, and now it's come to the point where I really don't read fan fiction at all unless I become obsessed with a certain book series or TV series. Like at the moment, that's Teen Wolf. Question 5, which fandoms do you enjoy reading / writing? I'll actually pull up the stories I've written because I haven't written a lot. The stories I write are basically from animes. I haven't written any fanfictions for books, mainly because I don't feel comfortable writing fanfiction for books. So the ones I've written one for Pokemon, one for Tokyo Mew Mew, one for Kolyoko, one for Yu Yu Hakusho, and one for Sailor Moon, which I'm thinking about taking off here. So those are the 5 stories that I've written. As for reading, like I said, I pretty much read anything that I become obsessed with. I read some Criminal Minds back a couple years ago. None of them were very good, so I stopped reading them. And here recently I've read The Maze Runner and Teen Wolf fanfictions. I used to read Harry Potter fanfiction. I only do that like on occasion now. The majority of my fanfiction reading is anime fanfiction because I really love anime, and that normally tides me over until the next series comes out. Question 6, who is your OTP? Normally my OTP is the canon pairings. I normally don't like to ship characters that aren't, you know, gonna end up together. Goodness, this is a hard one. I guess if we're gonna go with a pairing that's not actually a pairing in the actual series, I would go with Newt Miss. I would ship Newt and Thomas from the Maze Runner series so hard. I don't think any relationship in that series is actually canon. I don't think there's a relationship, period. I mean, we see Thomas and Brenda, I guess, as a couple, but I'm gonna go with Thomas and Newt as my OTP in fanfiction world. Question 7, have you told anyone you write fanfiction? Truthfully, I haven't told a lot of people that I write fanfiction, mainly because it was so long ago, and I know a couple of the stories. I think my Pokemon one is pretty dang good, but I don't know. It's just I haven't worked on them very much, and I really don't like anyone reading my work until I've completed that work. So I normally don't tell someone about it until I finish it. So I've only like told 2 or 3 people, not many. And I've told my mom, of course, but that's because I know she doesn't know what fan fiction is. And even if she knew what it is, I mean, she wouldn't actually take the time to read it. Question 8, what does fan fiction mean to you? I don't know, fan fiction means a lot to me. It meant more to me back in high school when I was just thinking about being a writer, and I really didn't know how to do the whole, you know, actually sitting down and writing a book and then having to go through the whole publishing process. So fan fiction was a good outlet for me to write. I wrote pretty much every day. I'd actually completed a story that wasn't fan fiction, and then my computer crashed and that story went out the window. Never heard from again. I don't know, fan fiction is just a good way for people to express themselves. So whenever I write fan fiction, I normally write original characters, and I try to have like a whole background for them, little nervous tics they have, and I don't know, family issues that are gonna pop up during the storyline. And I try to make each story have a very unique character that I would want to write in a book if I was ever to write a book, which hopefully I will someday. So fan fiction really helps me get my ideas out there and helps me see how a character would react in certain situations, if that makes any sense at all. So fan fiction means a lot to me. Question 9. Do you prefer canon-based fan fiction or AU? AU being alternate universe. Canon is basically, it follows the original story, and AU's like an alternate universe, or they've changed little aspects of the universe, like say in Teen Wolf, everyone has the ability to read each other's minds. But that's the only thing that's actually changed about the story. I've read a few alternate universe fanfiction stories, and I've liked a couple of them, but I really prefer canon-based fanfictions, because it's easier to follow in my head what all is going on and the sequence of events, and I don't know, it helps me picture the story a lot better, and I enjoy it more. Question 10, tell us about a fanfiction you've either read or written. I'll tell you about one of each. The one I'm reading right now is a Teen Wolf fanfiction where this main OC character named Sage there's something special about her, and I'm only on chapter 2. And it seems like she's a banshee. Don't really know. It's called Bad Blood by Think Female. So far I like it. It's pretty good. Not the best I've read, but I like it. As for a story I've written, I was going to tell you about my most popular story, but I don't know how many of you actually know what Tokyo Mew Mew is. So I'll just tell you about my Pokemon story, which is my second most popular one. It's called Just Another Pokemon Journey, and it follows a girl named Piper as she starts off on her journey from Kanto with her partner Eevee. And it's going to go from Kanto to Kalos. So I'm only on chapter 10, and I'm only like at the first gym, so it's going to be a very, very long story. I'll probably have different stories for like each region. I don't know yet. It's been a couple years since I worked on that story too, although I do have a couple of chapters done, just not typed up. As for who I tag everyone who reads fanfiction. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!